Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Thanks very much for hanging around. Sorry I'm a bit late. I've been playing post-midnight traffic, or post-midnight taxi. So just got back and we are in full EFFECT, otherwise known as effect. Ineffectual conservative tears. What do I mean by that? Well, I was reading the response of another group of people, fans of a good conservative, and a good guy. You know, I'm not intending to offer, heavy criticism here or anything like that. I think we're going to get the extreme close-up thing again here. Well, it's not too bad. So, I'm a fan of Larry Correia. He's a good fantasy author, and what he did with the Sad Puppies and getting that started was epic, absolutely epic. But some people say that there's been like a falling out or anything like between me and the various conservatives that sort of make up the what I think of as the Baen Books crew. It's not really true. There's never been any bad blood between Larry Correia and I, between Brad Torgerson and I. Even Sarah Hoyt and I, we have a fundamental disagreement on immigration in America. But I think that based on some of the stuff that she's written over the past year, she's actually kind of coming around at least closer to my position. But for all that I like and respect these people, they don't get it. They simply don't get it. Or alternatively, they're afraid to get it. Well, you're banned too. So, looks like they already got you. Gammas. Anyhow, so I happened to notice, for whatever reason, I'm not on Twitter, but Twitter still sends me emails relating to the Twitter accounts of people that I used to follow, or certain people that I used to follow, like about 4 of them. I have no idea why, but I get these tweets from Monster Hunter Nation, which of course is Larry Correia's site, his blog, and the name of his very popular series. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. But here's the problem that I have with, not, again, I'm only using Larry as an example here. It has nothing to do with him specifically. It has to do with the conservative reaction to SJW attack. So he has a post called Banned Again, Facebook Gets Even Dumber Part 3, the saga continues. So first I got banned for pretending to be from an imaginary country, insulting the livestock dating tendencies of our imaginary enemies from a different imaginary country. Okay. Then my fans had a whole lot of fun with it, and I got to do a prison break photo shoot, but that offended a bunch of assholes who decided we were having fun wrong. And Facebook didn't even tell him what he posted that violated their community standards this time. Okay, so why are you even on Facebook in the first place if you're to the right of Chairman Mao. There's no reason to be on Facebook. None. Not to communicate with the fans, not to do anything, because all you're doing is making yourself vulnerable. And all you're doing is making it very, very easy for them to disrupt and attack you. Now, it's a little bit painful for me to have to address this, but there's invariably some very clever gamma who's going to say, but your blog is on Blogger, and that's like the same thing. No, it's not. I have a unique and individual and personal relationship with Google. I am personally banned from setting foot on their campus. I have a direct line into their internal communication system. We have essentially come to what you might call a standoff of sorts. I leave them alone, they leave me alone. It's all good. Or at least it's what it is. Okay. If you don't have that kind of relationship with a platform, if you don't have your heel over somebody's throat, then you need to recognize the situation. And Facebook is extremely powerful, and they're extremely willing to play dirty, and they will do so. And even worse, their employees will do so. The thing that most people can't seem to understand about these big social media and technology companies is that 95% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, the company itself is not interested in you. Again, this is not the case with me and Google. We know this from their internal documents. But for the most part, it's not the company that cares about you. It's some minor servitor who is irritated with you and doesn't like you. For example, we had 8 times one of our books was unpublished by a Amazon employee, and then he finally arranged to take our account down. Now, Amazon was not happy about that at all. They didn't want that to happen, and we worked it out very quickly. Wasn't a problem. The whole thing with Indiegogo was actually brought about from the outside, just like the situation that Larry was dealing with at Facebook. I've written about this. I wrote about this in 2015. The whole idea of the SJW creating a problem, coming up with a complaint, going to the amenable authority, and getting them to crack down on you. And so I don't know what happened to that Amazon employee. I never knew their identity. All I know is that it went to very, very high levels at Amazon. They were, I won't say they were apologetic, but they were determined to make sure that it didn't happen again. And so, but here's where I get annoyed with conservatives, and here's where I just, you feel like saying, look, you're not fooling anyone, okay? So I mean, here, the first thing they do every time is start acting up. And then they try to explain, oh, well, I don't care. I don't care anyhow. Mike Z. Williamson was going on and on about how he didn't care at all about the way that he had been, kicked out. His Wikipedia page had been deleted because he's not notable. It's so ironic that an important author like him with lots of important books isn't going to be on there, but some unimportant performance artists, they are, but I don't care. I don't care. And then they go on talking about how they don't care for the next, 3 weeks. And of course it pops up. They bring it up every time that something happens. This doesn't work. This doesn't work at all. And this is the exact problem that I had with these sad puppy types back when we were blowing up the Hugo Awards. Owen is exactly right. Big Bear's exactly right. He says, I'd love it if my wiki got deleted. I would love it if my Wikipedia got deleted. They weaponize them and they use it against you. And so, we have had numerous problems because they weaponize the Wikipedia, they seed it with something poisonous, and then they get somebody inside the company that you're working with to refer to it. It's what I call the "did you know" tactic. Did you know that this person is a very bad person? Look at their Wikipedia page. And it's kind of funny because there's two different types of SJWs at war with each other. There's the ones that are the gammas that are trying to harm you, like they're trying to hurt your feelings, and so they're trying to make you feel like you're unimportant, and so they're trying to attack you by taking down your Wikipedia page. Meanwhile, the other SJWs are trying to weaponize your Wikipedia page against you. That's why that's one of the reasons why we created Infogalactic. Now here's why I have no sympathy for these folks whatsoever, especially with regards to Wikipedia. We created Infogalactic, and we even created verified pages. We've created verified pages so that the individual who the page is about, or the organization that the page is about, has the ability to put their side of the story forward. Nobody else can touch it, just them. And so, Owen actually puts it clearly. He says, wiki launders slander. That's exactly what it's designed to do. That's exactly what it's intended to do. And so, but the conservatives would rather cry about Wikipedia than use Infogalactic. Unknown Sailor says, and no one uses it. Pretty much, yeah. And that's the, that's all you can do is offer people a tool. If they don't use it, then they don't use it. So be it. But at least we have a reasonably reliable information source. And so it's very hard to go after Wikipedia for slander because they're essentially insulated by the nature of their setup. I think it could be done. I think it can be done, but we'll have to see how it goes. Somebody said Ben Shapiro's Infogalactic page was deleted. Yeah, it might still be listed under Shapiro, that, Mandela effect. Um, M. Fleming says, verified profiles, that's revolutionary. I think there's like 4 people that have actually used it. As in terms of the verified pages. My page, I have a verified thing up, although I need to update it a bit. But, it's. Oh, here's a good one. John Yossarian said Breitbart covered a Kickstarter about an Obama cartoon, but didn't even touch Alt Hero. They're hopeless. Exactly. Absolutely exactly. And so, here, let me read you a little bit more of the. Okay, so Larry says there's a few issues at play here. First off, Facebook is a garbage website run by idiots. Yes, that's true, but it's also a very influential website that lots and lots of idiots use. Second, scumbags have learned to weaponize Facebook's lack stupidity. It's not stupidity. Facebook hates the right. So they are what we call an amenable authority. They are amenable to those quote-unquote scumbags. In fact, there is good reason to suspect that they actually teach them how to take advantage of the openings that they leave for them. There's I put up a post today. This is all related, you see. I put up a post today from a former Google employee, and he talked about how there's a hole where if you take a target email address, change exactly one letter in that email address, and then create a new account with that changed email address, you do this several times, and they created a network of spoof accounts for Jordan B. Peterson. Then they start sending a bunch of spam. The spam catches the attention of the Gmail AI, which deactivates the spam accounts, including the original account, because it looks like it is related to them. He said this bug has never been fixed. When Google says an account was deactivated because of suspicious activity, this is often how they do it. They don't fix it because they want their pet SJWs to be able to use it. So, anyhow, Larry says, they simply find someone they don't like and then report their posts. Nobody with a brain ever checks to see if the complaint is legit or not, so they just block the bully's target. It's a wonderful tool for dickless cheese weasels to feel powerful. How do we know they do this? Hell, they brag about it. He talks about this. He says, that pic right there demonstrates exactly what's going to happen with red flag laws, only with a SWAT team shooting your dog. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So what are you going to do about it? Then, of course, this stuff only goes one way politically, with the conservatives and libertarians being the one constantly banned, kicked off platforms, demonetized, and censored for stupid shit. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm not worried about it, though. What? The whole idea is, oh, this is really terrible. This is really bad. This is going to lead to people getting swatted and their dogs getting shot and so forth. I'm not worried about it, though. Why? Well, I have no idea. They don't ever want to do anything. They're not willing to do anything. And when you are, then they oh, I'm not like that person. I give Larry credit because at least he has the wisdom to simply just not say anything, unlike a number of the others from that sad puppy circle. I was so angry. I've almost seldom been more angry than literally the morning after the first big sad puppy rabid puppy exploit, which was the first time that we really blew up the Hugo Awards. One of the people in the Sad Puppy group said, well, the important thing is that we win with grace and style. And I said, first of all, what do you mean by we, Kimosabi? We won because we did it my way. I told you how to do this. We did it. We won. And now you suddenly want to take the reins back again. Which is exactly what they tried to do the next year. They're like, oh, Vox is too much. Too much. So we're like, okay. You guys do your sad puppy thing. We'll do our rabid puppy thing. And boom. We did even better. And so, yeah, John Doe says, they blamed Gamergate for that, I remember. Yeah, there were exactly 2 Gamergaters involved. Daddy Warpig and me. That was it. And so, Garuna Laker said, this kind of cuckiness sank Comicsgate. Exactly. Exactly. They don't want to fight at all. They are afraid of it. They're afraid of even letting people know that being attacked hurts them in any way. If you really don't care, why are you going on and on about it? If you really don't care, why are you even on Facebook in the first place? I'm not on Facebook. I haven't been banned from Facebook. I have no reason to be on it. I see absolutely no benefit to being on it. It's a horrible interface. Welcome, Chase Littlefield. And here's the thing that, I was talking about this with one of the Dread Ilk the other day. And he was a little bit, I could tell he was a little bit, not down, but he was a little bit tired. And the reason was that, here we've just finished this one big thing. And then another little thing had popped up. Not a big deal. Probably nothing. But could lead to, another lengthy battle. And I laughed. And he said, why are you laughing? I said, conflict is the air we breathe. It is the water in which we swim. And he started laughing. And he said, I was just thinking about that. And see, this is the difference between us and the conservatives. This is the difference between us and the people who complain and who cry, but who ultimately aren't even willing to seek out a different platform. And that's why people are afraid of us. That's why you see Wired trying to demonize me on a regular basis. That's why you see, all these idiots like Ben Shapiro and stuff going on about just telling blatant, shameless lies about white supremacy this and alt-right that and this, that, and the other thing. Why are they afraid of us? Because we're the only people who are willing to do something. We're the only people who are willing to stand up. Logan Ross said, my pastor made a special message about the evil ideology of white nationalism and I wanted to puke. You shouldn't wanted to puke. You should have stood up and told him, "You are full of shit. You are a liar, and you are going to answer for your lies that you are telling from the pulpit. You are a wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't be afraid to confront these liars. Never be afraid to confront them in any context." I'm not criticizing you. I'm encouraging you because you're going to have that opportunity again, and you're probably going to have that opportunity again soon. Frank Klupak said, "So these conservatives collectively don't want to carry bricks where you guys pull all the weight." Exactly. In some cases, maybe it's because they have too much to lose. In other cases, maybe it's just because they're not psychologically equipped for it. But the point is that cucking will do you nothing. Crying will do you no good. Complaining is what they want you to do. They want you to complain because then they can do their victory dance. They love celebrating conservative tears. I guarantee you that, and the thing is, that's why the conservatives try to do the whole thing where they're, well, I don't care. We were having so much fun. We were having so much fun talking about how I was banned, and it was all the memes, and it was so much fun. You're not fooling anyone. I was not at all happy about Indiegogo, retroactively terminating the Alt Hero Q campaign. Not happy at all. But did we cry about it? Did we complain about it? Did we say, oh well, it doesn't matter? Here's the thing. You want to understand the difference between what we do and what conservatives do. Okay. Now, we could have easily said, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. In fact, it didn't actually matter in material terms because we went out, we found a new crowdfunding site, and we actually ended up raising 33% more money in 2 days. It took us 2 days to more than replace what Indiegogo had taken from us. And then you know what we did? Then we went and several hundred of us, and salute to all the Alt Hero Q backers who didn't hesitate to line up and take their shots. After we rendered their attack on us pointless, then we went on the offensive. That's what you do. And so, and it took a long time. We've reached a point of resolution now, but it took, it was October, now it's August, it took like 10 months just to get to this point, and it's still not actually completely, signed on the dotted line, etc. And so, it's a very, very gamma sort of thing to do, when you're sitting there going, oh, the joke's on you, haha. I like it when you hang me up from the locker with by my underwear, haha. That doesn't work at all. And so Frank Meadows said, immediately regroup and counterattack is the right way to deal with an ambush. Exactly. And so, whenever you Matthew Lopez, yeah, Secret King wins again. You know, nobody buys it. Nobody ever buys it. And it's basically trying to convince people that you really won when actually you literally got sent away spanked with your tail between your legs. And there's nothing you could do about it. And there's nothing you will do about it. And the worst thing is, they'll go back for more. If they get kicked off for a day, they get kicked off for 3 days, and then they just go right back on the platform. It's just nuts. An organic bear has a point of personal privilege. Are we triggering you, organic bear? If everyone would please try to keep down all the whispering and the heckling, organic bear would find it easier to focus. So, the white rabbit has a good point. Complaining shows the SJW that their strategy is working. Exactly. We didn't complain. It was kind of funny. We sent an email immediately asking them, what do you mean by unusual activity? Oh, well, actually, it's too risky. What do you mean by too risky? Silence. Total silence. And then you just start digging. Dig, dig, dig. I mean, I can literally read off I think it was 7 grammatical errors in the Indiegogo terms of use. I can rattle them off by memory just because I've gone through those terms of use so many times. Anyhow, let's get some. Let's do some of the super chats here. And again, just to be clear, I like Larry Correa. If I vote in the Dragon Awards, I will almost certainly vote for House of Assassins to win Best Fantasy Novel. He's one of the best action fantasy writers out there, and he's a good man. But the conservative philosophy for addressing conflict is a fundamentally broken and ineffectual model. And I hope that he and a lot of other conservatives start to realize this as they find themselves increasingly deplatformed and increasingly demonetized and increasingly attacked, because they're going to get attacked more than us. Nobody wants to attack us now. They might. Some of them might. Some of them are dumb enough to do it because they don't do their homework. But everybody that attacks us always regrets it, because we always bounce the fucking rubble every single time. Whether we win, whether we lose, they are going to know that they were in a fight. I don't know, but I suspect that that's one reason that Amazon, very promptly restored our account. Maybe they would have anyhow. Maybe they have more of a sense of justice than a lot of these other companies. I don't know. They've always been, very fair and reasonable with us. But others say, well, they haven't been so fair and reasonable with other folks. Maybe it's because you haven't punched anybody in the face after they started pushing you around. Let's see here. Okay, looks like we're way behind. Oh, I didn't refresh it. I'm looking at going, huh? Um, let's see here. Vox, have you seen reports of Cernovich and Alan Dershowitz close relationship? I don't believe they have a close relationship. Cernovich interviewed him as part of one of his documentaries. I think that those reports of their close relationship are entirely false. Was he acting as Dershowitz's proxy by filing to discredit Epstein victims? He wasn't filing to discredit Epstein victims. He was filing because he wanted to get the stuff released. And he obviously wasn't acting as Dershowitz's proxy because Dershowitz filed himself separately. Cernovich is always under attack. You shouldn't believe most of what people say about him, just like you shouldn't believe most of what you hear people saying about me or Owen. Go directly to the source. Ask Mike about it. He'll probably tell you exactly what's going on. South Texas Death says a thank you to you and your crew. Thanks to you as well. Hot Perrier says, any advice to ethnic Europeans in Latin America and or the Caribbean? Is it time for another Reconquista or just get out? I mean, it depends on where you are. If you're in Venezuela or if you're in Haiti or the Dominican Republic, probably not so good. But there's other places that are fine. Orobo says, has Big Bear deep dived on the no-hide laws yet? Ask him yourself. Don't ask me questions about what other people do or what other people are doing. I do not understand why you would ask me something that has to do with somebody else. Ask them. G said, what do you think is the best martial arts style? For what? Everything has a purpose. If you want to win in the UFC, some form of, something like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or some form of grappling is probably your best base. If you just want to survive in a bar fight, then some sort of striking, style is much better. I always think it's funny. There's a video I don't think I kept it anymore, but it's a hilarious video where this guy is totally out grappling somebody. And as he's doing so, the other guy's mother comes up and kicks him in the head and knocks him out. Grappling is not a useful martial art in most circumstances. Yes, if it's just a one-on-one situation in the ring, because if you're in an actual fighting situation with multiple people, be far and away the most useful of the tactics or the techniques that I tended to use in sparring, and that I also used on the rare occasions when I had cause in the real world. It was always the Kali stuff that I turned to. How do you develop the fighter's mindset? Get in a fight. Whether we're talking metaphorically or whether we're talking physically, just do it. The only way that you can find out whether you have what it takes is to go in there and take a punch. There's a moment of truth that cannot be approximated or simulated or abstractly reasoned through. It's that moment when somebody punches you in the face or kicks you in the head, knocks you down, and you're lying flat on your back or flat on your face. Do you get up or do you stay down? You can't fake it. You can't lie to yourself. You will do one or the other. And you will always know what choice you made. You know, that's why, I tend to laugh at people who are like, trying to say, oh, you haven't done this, or that guy is really tough, or it's like, they don't even know what toughness is. Toughness isn't about what you do to other people. Toughness is what you're able to take and get up and keep coming. That's one of the things that I admire about people like Owen, people like, the guys in my dojo, people that get deplatformed and then they fight and then they get up and they continue and they never stop coming. G asks, Defiance Bear says, too much to lose, we're too small, takes too much time, and that's why no one will remember your name. Yeah, I'm not saying that you should take on every battle. That's ridiculous. You have to choose your battles. And I'm not faulting the nobody who puts up a meme on Facebook about vaccines and gets kicked off. What can they do? Nothing. But then stay off Facebook. Facebook has made it clear they don't want you. It's enemy territory. If it's enemy territory and you're not actually attempting to destroy it or take it over, stay off it. Stay away from it. If you're not offensively inclined, you should not be trying to live in enemy territory. Simple. But for these higher profile people who have lots of fans, there's your opportunity. Instead of all, here's where the real problem is. Getting them all to join in your secret king delusion. And, we're just having fun. Oh, look how much fun we're having. See, we're making them look silly. We're going to make their minds explode at how much fun we're having being mistreated by them. All that's doing is bringing more people into your delusion. Instead of doing that, why don't you get together and bounce some rubble? That's what the Dread Ilk do. That's not what the VFM do, just so you know. The VFM are much worse. I won't say anything more about that. G says, do you think D-Day was a good idea, or do you think there could have been a better way to approach the situation? No, I don't think D-Day was a good idea. If so, what would have been your move? Well, I would have just sat back and let the Soviets and the Nazis fight it out. What business of it was the U.S. Who was ruling over it? What do we have now? We have a German-dominated EU ruling over the continent. Grimlock69 says, from what angle was the pastor lying when talking about white nationalism? White nationalism doesn't exist. White nationalism is no more a threat than yellow nationalism, red nationalism, or black nationalism. A nation is not a race. A nation is a subset of a race. Think about how many white nations there are. There are dozens of white nations. There's not a white nation. And so his entire framework is dishonest. He says, I understand it's all BS, but what does the pastor get from talking about it? He's virtue signaling. He's telling you that he is, first and foremost, loyal to social justice. He is telling you that he is not following Jesus Christ. He is following the world. He's not following the capital T truth. He's not following even the small t truth. So you know that he should not be in that pulpit. He should not be teaching anything. And you should not be listening to him. Satellite Jack, neocons fence sit the Overton like grifters. No, that's not true. You have it wrong. Conservatives fence sit the Overton window like grifters. Neocons police it. Neocons are, I mean, they spell this out. Bill Kristol and the guy who started, what was it, American Spectator, I think, he literally talked about the way that they had formed this magazine in order to police the conservative movement. The neocons are Trotskyites who are attempting to police conservatives. What type of music is pro-logos? Melody. Anything that is fundamentally melody-based and is not evil. So if you want the most pro-logos music I can think of, it's the Hallelujah Chorus by Friedrich Handel, or pretty much anything by any member of the Bach family. Know of any good books on the causes of the U.S. Civil War? I'm sure I have read a few, but none off the top of my head. Duralex Sedlek says, if Mike's record doesn't already speak for itself, you're either a shill or you're the kind of moron that helps cars cross the street. Exactly. You know, I know Mike. I know his wife. They're good people. You know, their hearts are in the right place, and there is absolutely no way that, you know, you can put Mike in the same category as the neo-clowns or the globo-pedos. Satoshi Bear throws in $5. Arigato gozaimasu. I don't know if Satoshi Bear is Japanese or not. It just sounds vaguely Japanese to me. Skullduggery Bear generously throws in $20 for keeping it positive and boosting our morale. I'm trying to be positive. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't feel positive. I do. I just occasionally get frustrated at the sheer quantity of excuses that people come up with for refusing to stand up and fight for what's right and to stand up and speak the truth. It's not that hard. It honestly isn't that hard. But everyone is so given to pretense and posturing and this and that. I mean, I'm not going to tell you I don't care when I do. If I tell you I don't care, I literally don't care. In many cases, at all. You know, sometimes I will say I don't care when it's short for I care, but not that much. You know, sometimes I'm trying to be polite. But this constant posturing by conservatives, it's so pointless. Paloma for Trump said, Cerno took plea deal for sexual assault. Why not fight? I don't know if that's correct. I mean, if I recall, he did quite a bit of fighting. So anyhow, you might want to look up the actual facts there. Fernando Kovac says, as a video game developer and a musician, I found your music very well produced. Thank you. Are there any interviews with you about that creative process? No. I don't do interviews. So, and also the reason that the music is well produced is because the members of my band were all really good at it. Um, I was involved in the composition, and obviously I wrote the lyrics most of the time. Um, but if you look at what the guys ended up doing, Paul ended up working with Thomas Dolby. Dan is a big time soundtrack guy. He had tracks in Captain Marvel and Alita Battle Angel recently. Mike is the audio director for Epic, so he has done the soundtrack for a few little games you might have heard of, like Fortnite and Gears of War and so forth, which I personally find hilarious because he was always he always putting together so much music, and we're like, Mike, we need like the 10 laser sound effects next week. Okay, yeah, I'll get right on that. And we've already got more music than we can fit on a CD. And the next week he'd come back. He's like, or really come upstairs because we live together in a house. He'd come upstairs and say, "Okay, dude, you're gonna love this track. This track is so kick-ass. You're gonna love it." I'm like, track? Yeah. I was working. I was working with this cool keyboardist that I met, last week, and he came over and we put some really cool stuff together. I'm like, Mike, where are the lasers? And so I just had this vision of when when he started working at Epic, that Mark Ryan and Cliff, whatever his name was, because we knew those guys from like 1995 or so, 1996, and we just had this vision of them constantly telling him, Mike, we need the sound effects. Like I kind of felt like if turning on an Epic game, I was gonna laugh if it was like all soundtrack without enough sound effects, but apparently he got over it. Anyhow, a little trivia for you. Let's see. William Late says, conservatives have shown they prefer to engage in a cuddle puddle with SJWs. I wouldn't go that far. But they just, they don't like them, but they don't have anything. They're not going to do anything except for say bitchy things about them. Julian Assad, are you working on any nonfiction books at the moment? Well, I'm working on 3. One of them is Corporate Cancer. One of them is How to Succeed Like a Dark Lord. And the other one is a book on the sociosexual hierarchy. And of course, I'm also working on the Sea of Skulls Extended Edition. Orobo said, would you read a David Icke book super chat paid for? No. I'm not a trained monkey. I appreciate the support from people, and but if I wasn't willing to sell my soul for caviar lollipops and gold-plated fancy pants, I'm not going to dance for shekels. Cordell Mitchell has a 2-parter. He says, 1, my dad and I are both service plumbers. Good job. Regularly, we run into issues at jobs that totally stump us, and more often than not, we aren't both at the same job and are unable to help the other if they run into a serious issue. Okay, 2-part. In regards to this, and as a result of spending 40 years in the field, my dad regularly says that we are it, no one is coming to bail us out, so we have to fix it ourselves. That's a good philosophy to have. Your dad is wise. 3-part. I believe with plumbing, so too with all problems. There is a solution, and likely more than one. The hardest part can sometimes be choosing to simply press on and not throw your hands in the air and quit. That's very wise. I couldn't agree more. There is no cavalry. We're it. Think about the English, the Black Prince. think about the battles like Agincourt and stuff. They're surrounded. They can't get away. They know it. So what do? You come up with the best plan you got, and you prepare to fight. And sometimes you win. I was just reading about the Battle of Towton during the Wars of the Roses. I've been reading Warwick the Kingmaker by Charles Oman, and it was really interesting because the Yorkist forces were outnumbered. Ironically, this is a battle like the Lancastrians held York, and so the Yorkists were attacking them outside of that, and the Lancastrians had 65,000 men. The Yorkists only had 35,000 men. Plus, the Lancastrians were in a very strong position, and yet they went up and the Yorkists went up and attacked, and didn't just beat them; they slaughtered them. It was an absolute slaughterhouse. Because of some tactical errors by the Lancastrians. But the point is that the only thing you know is that if you don't fight, you will lose. That's the one thing you can be certain of. And constant retreat isn't going to get you anywhere. Constant retreat just means you're putting off the defeat. And often it's a mistake because usually you're in a stronger position if you fight back immediately. I'm not saying to be completely reactionary, to lash out at everybody every time anybody does anything, that sort of thing. I'm just saying that each time you need to stop and think, is this a battle worth fighting? And if it is, then do it. Don't wait for a non-existent cavalry. So listen to the wisdom of the plumbers. Jack Cool says, the SJWs have ruined the Lego fandom. I didn't really know there was a Lego fandom, but I'm not even surprised. Would you and your people ever consider setting up an unconverged brick toy fan site? No. You're missing the plumber's point. Do it yourself. You are the cavalry. We are not your cavalry. We don't care about Legos. Look at what we've done in the areas that we care about. Look at what we've done with Alt Hero. Look at what we're doing with some of the stuff with the computer games. We're working on the Divine Right computer game. Look at what we're doing with role-playing games. We're doing the Alt Hero role-playing game, and we're going to do another fantasy-based role-playing game using probably some of the D20 stuff. It's going to be very cool. You'll recognize the name. So learn from what we're doing, put your own people together, and do it. Don't stand there going, well, would you ever think about coming and doing it for us? No, I won't think about it for a second. I don't care about Lego fandom, but you do. And you have just as much ability to do that as I did to do comics. Trust me, you're in a better position to do whatever you're doing with Lego fandom than I was with comics, because I didn't know a damn thing about comics. S. Goglin says he's gay, but he's also Canadian, so can we really tell a difference? I don't know. Hans Laga throws in $5 just for the heck of it. Thanks, Hans. And PFO Dynamite does the same with $2. So, where are we now? Okay, so we're at... Frank Meadow says, everyone wants to be the armchair advisor. Exactly, you can't do that. James Pirate says, get on the line and pitch in or get out of the way. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Fox Day Respecter says, I'm retaking the caviar industry. I am the cavalry. Awesome. Yeah, or as 4chan says, not your personal army. Or in this case, not your personal legion. It's my personal legion. Um, but this is something that I do want to. Um, it's always nice to see the gammas popping up. Just saying says, you seem very intelligent. At what point do you realize Owen was your meal ticket? Um, First of all, number one, I'm from a very wealthy family. Number two, my third computer game sold 6 million copies. Number three, my first comic book campaign raised the most money that any new campaign in comics had ever done out of 12,000. I enjoy working with Owen. I think it's an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to work with Owen. But Owen is not my meal ticket. I appreciate the support of the Bears. I love the support of the Bears. The Bears are awesome. But I got the VFM, I got the Dread Ilk, I got the Evil Legion of Evil. We don't need the Bears. We like having them as allies. It's fantastic. But you simply do not understand what you're talking about if you think that Owen is any sort of meal ticket. No, I'm not going to ban the guy because, maybe he'll learn. Probably he won't, but maybe he will. Urgent Tim Skold new album. I have no idea what that means. Julian Assad asks, will Northern Italy still secede eventually? I don't think so. I think all of Italy is going to secede from the European Union under Santo Matteo. So, Frosty the Bear says, Vox's Legion scares me and I'm an ally. Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of funny. There was a hilarious point where we were explaining to someone, okay, my relationship with the VFM is a little different than you might think. People think that I sick the VFM on people. It's like, no, I spend most of my time with the VFM telling them, don't do that. Anyhow, it's all good. And here's the thing that is important for the Bears and the Dread Ilk to understand is that the more that you act in concert, the more effective you will be. Don't worry about trying to understand everything. Don't try to be an armchair general or quarterback or critic. If you have chosen someone, as your leader in some capacity, then trust them. And if they say, this is what we're doing, then just get on board, because you will be more effective. I promise. And I'm not saying that, saying, oh, the Bears, you should do what I say. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that when your chosen leader or one of his lieutenants or whatever tells you to do something, tells you this is the plan, the more of you that get on board with it faster and harder, the more effective you're all going to be. So and discipline is incredibly important. It's amazing how many times in the Peninsular War the cavalry got themselves in trouble just because they weren't disciplined. All they had to do was just listen. And the same thing with the Spanish armies. All they had to do was just do exactly what Wellington told them. But instead they decided, oh, well, it's going well, so we'll do even more. Then, so anyhow, thanks for tuning in. It looks like, oh, I missed, Hans said I missed a super chat. Let me see what is up there. Orobo said, I'm paying for one of those $2 bottles of wine. About $3 is about as low as we can go for the drinkable. ER said, would you say that Owen is INFJ? No, he's not an introvert. Oh, I've got no yucks to chuck, so here's $2. Oh, Hans Laga says, be your own champion. That's exactly right. You've got to be your own champion. You've got to be your own cavalry. Trust each other. The more that you work together, the more that you support each other, the more effective you're going to be. Tom Forsyth said, I unsubbed from the Daily Wire this week. The Epstein suicide is a great litmus test for phonies. Exactly. Well, you should subscribe to Unauthorized then. Anyhow, and speaking of Unauthorized, don't worry. We're going to keep up with the new videos. We're going to be adding the old videos regularly over the next few weeks here. The content is going to continue to improve. The infrastructure is on Vox Day.